Hey guys, FREIBA here. Another session after hours. Taking a quick look at the markets here. So first up, we have the SPY. So we're going to go through the SPY as well as a lot of the tickers that we either have gotten questions on today or we had on our watch list for today, and we're either trading them or kind of just looking to trade either long or short. So any questions, shoot us a message in the comments and we'll go from there. Just want to add in a link to our chat room that will show up shortly. And again, it's free base on all platforms. So feel free to like, subscribe, and follow us everywhere. So here's a quick look at the SPY. The SPY had a pretty good day. I mean, it was, a lot of ups and downs, but for the most part, you have a high here on kind of the right at the market open. You had this high over 460, pullback, bounce, and almost like what they call or what some people call a W pattern forming here. So kind of a sell off from the high, bounce, retest. And what's really happening here is that this support line is being tested, and this is the 200 on the 5-minute chart. Taking a step back here, look at the 1 hour. Pretty nice uptrend. Again, we're hitting new all-time highs. So the market is super strong right now. But tomorrow is the Fed meeting that they're supposed to make a decision on whether they're going to be tapering or not. So there's a lot of concern for how tomorrow's going to be in terms of volatility in the market. The VIX actually started to move up today, so that's also something to keep in mind for tomorrow's session. All right, so that's the S&P 500. That's kind of the barometer that us traders look at in terms of volatility and just the overall trend of the market for any given day. Next up, we have, take a look at Rocket Companies. Rocket Companies is a financial services corporation. They primarily are known for their mortgages. They are used to be Quicken Loans, but changed their name to Rocket Mortgage. So they had a pretty big day. Again, we're just gonna kind of breeze through. And any questions, just shoot us a message, either an EM or we definitely encourage you to hop in our chat room and have a chat with us there. So this is actually the 1 hour on Rocket. I'm just going to take a step back here. We'll look more so at the daily, just to see if there's any patterns forming. You definitely have a breakout happening here. You have earnings coming up, so it's kind of this run up into earnings on Rocket. A lot of resistance over $18. We've been trading Rocket for quite some time. Every time it gets around this $16 level, as you can see, it creates this multi-day move and kind of a run up. Most recent catalyst actually for Rocket was their partnership with Salesforce or CRM. So that's a pretty strong catalyst for them, over the next couple weeks. However, you do have earnings coming up, and with earnings, we typically don't trade through it. So we'll just play the volatility before and after. But it is coming up to a pretty interesting level here where, again, it does struggle, but we'll see how the earnings turns out. Earnings is set for the 4th this week, so just in a couple days. And again, we'll play the volatility as we see it. That ticker again, RKT, Rocket Mortgage. Here's one from the list today. This is Twilio, TWLO. Performed pretty well. We were looking for basically a bounce out of this gap down. So the stock started to rebound today. As you can see, there's a huge gap on Twilio, basically from this $300 level, 6303 to the 340s. So massive gap down after earnings. Earnings didn't have a great response. Twilio primarily deals with businesses. Due to COVID, there's definitely been a drop off in some of the traction that they've had, but now it's bouncing off of this low here in the 280s. I think it had a low of 270, 278. But it bounced off that and finally hit $300 today. This is exactly what we were looking for. So definitely a good day trading Twilio. As far as how much more it has to go, well, we expect it to consolidate in this range. So we want it to get up and over $300 by tomorrow. Eventually, we want to see this gap try to fill here in the 320s, but we probably would be looking for some news at that point. However, in the meantime, we're looking for it to consolidate and find a home here around $300 and start this run up with some news as we get into the end of the year, and as businesses start to kind of adjust some of their protocols, and they can land some big deals, and they have potential to basically get back on track, just given that they're a communication provider and they handle a lot of call centers, and that's a pretty interesting area, especially after COVID. So Twilio is super interesting, but for now, we definitely wanted it to bounce. It did so. It's kind of on low volume, so again, that's why we're looking for this to start to consolidate, and again, find a home around $300 and move up as we go along here throughout the rest of the year. So keep a close eye out on Twilio, but that was definitely a great day trade that we had on our watch list. And again, our watch list can be found in our Discord, our chat room online. The link is in our bio and description as well. All right. Another stock that we've been looking at is Lucid. It had a kind of a pullback day today. It's kind of consolidating. It seems you have earnings coming up in about a month, so there's definitely some room here for another formation to happen. So it recently broke out of this bull flag due to some news. The news was deliveries that they're getting on their vehicles. This is an electric car company, and there's been a lot of attention in EVs recently. Everyone from Tesla to NIO. Now there's another Chinese company, XPeng, Fisker, FSR. Some of the smaller names, Solo, FUV, as well as some of the charging companies. They've been on a tear recently, running mainly because of the infrastructure bill and what President Joe Biden is looking to do with his New Deal. And Lucid has gotten a lot of attention. It's been heavily shorted, so it's just had a great couple weeks here, and finally really broke out. Had a strong couple of days, but today started to pull back here and most likely consolidate. We're probably looking at around $30 before this thing settles in, but again, we'll play the price action and see how things go as we move along. So it had gapped up over the weekend, opened up at 40 and just kind of sold off. So a lot of profit taking from the big day that it had on Friday, and kind of consolidating here. So yeah, and we'll look for a potential pullback as people continue to take profits, and as well as watching the market, the overall market, to see how that performs as well as kind of an indicator of how this is going to do. So that's Lucid Motors. Next, we'll take a look at Tesla. Tesla broke out, well, actually continuing to break out, right? So it had a continuation up to $1,200 today, and so new all-time highs for Tesla. Big day. Just a massive couple of weeks here for Tesla. Coming all the way from that $900 level and breaking out now up over $1,200. So there's been a few talks about different price targets for Tesla in the long run. There's some investors and hedge funds that feel that Tesla is worth about $2,500. That remains to be seen, but Tesla did have some interesting news today, and the news was that they're looking to expand their fast charging network to other brands. So that's pretty massive news. So far, Tesla's superchargers have only been for Tesla vehicles, and they are building a pretty extensive network that are able to charge their EVs up to 80% of their battery in about 30 minutes, and that's the level 3, I believe, is the tier for that. But Tesla again broke out over $1,200 today. But you can see this chart here. This is actually the 4-hour chart, and it's just almost going parabolic, so almost straight up at this point. So we do expect Tesla to start to settle, but there is also some other talks about potential split of Tesla stock again. So just be mindful that that can lead to more of a run, but a split will definitely slow it down. But that takes a while, right? So it's just a rumor for now. But again, that fast charging network news happened today, plus this technical breakout on the daily chart, which I'll pull up here. So everything kind of lined up perfectly for Tesla, and looks like it's going to continue. So want some consolidation, maybe with a little bit of a pullback in the market. Now that we keep hitting these all-time highs, you're going to start to see buyers start to slow down, and sellers start to step in, where it'll create some sort of consolidation, and Tesla tends to move with the market. So we'll see how that performs over the next few days. And just to stick with that thought around EVs, we'll jump over to BLNK. BLNK is a charging company. They charge electric vehicles. They had a pretty good day today. It gapped up, started to run, but it hit this level of resistance in the 33, 34 level, which is kind of an area where it struggled recently. But as you can see, volume is increasing. However, we do have earnings coming soon. Earnings is on the 11th, so next week. So this essentially is a run up into earnings, but it's starting to get above some of these moving averages, and $36 looks like a good place. However, there was some resistance intraday because of the Tesla news. So Blink Charging charges EVs. Tesla's talking about expanding their EV charging network, and so you had this pullback here midday when that Tesla news came out, and you can see these large volume bars here. A lot of selling happening. So that's probably going to slow this down. However, $36 is still a decent target for Blink, BLNK. Actually, this is the end of the day. This is actually the 1-minute chart, but the selling from the Tesla news was actually here. So this the largest red bar of the day, super high volume. There's a lot of selling happening when that Tesla news came out, and continued to kind of bounce and move up towards the end of the day, but at the close, there was some more selling. Obviously, day traders just getting out of their positions, but that's leaves potential for this to be more of a consolidation area, mainly because of the news on the Tesla, and so buying could start to slow down. But we still expect this in that 36 to be a decent target for playing. A lot of questions today on Novavax, NVAX, NVAX. NVAX is a candidate for the COVID-19 vaccine. They're still testing. They had a couple issues recently, but over the past couple days, they've actually weeks, they filed for emergency use authorization in both India and the UK. And so they've gotten a lot of attention. A lot of buyers are stepping back in. And after this massive sell off that they've had from 260 all the way down to 123 basically. So, almost $140 there of a drop in a pretty short amount of time. You have earnings coming up soon. So that's going to be interesting to see as potential volatility there in Novavax. But really, really nice bounce. And now that we've closed this gap here from basically the 150 level, 160 ish, we're looking to kind of continue this move back up and out of this area. You have earnings coming up really soon. It's the fourth, just in a couple days, so you want to be careful with that. There may be some volatility there, and potential consolidation around this 160 to 170 area. So not necessarily a continuation, but over the next couple days, you could see a spike back up. There's a second gap basically at the 190 level, which can be closed at 200. So another $10 gap. So we can potentially expect the 190 gap to be tested at the very least, if they have news and if buyers continue to step up over the next couple days on NVAX. Again, any questions about any of these tickers, just go ahead and post it in chat or shoot us a DM. And again, join our chat room, and we'll be happy to help you out and keep the conversation going. That was NVAX. Then I'm just going to breeze through some of these other names. First up, we have Snapchat. SNAP. So Snap sold off after earnings. Not great news for it in regards to some of their marketing products as businesses have been dealing with COVID. So COVID obviously is a very common theme. So we initially were looking for Snap to break down to about $49. It got pretty close to that, bounced off of 51, and started to consolidate sooner than we anticipated. But nonetheless, it's decent price action. It had a nice little bounce today, um, and essentially we're looking for it to consolidate and start to trend back up over the next couple weeks. We are looking for most likely this $60 level to be tested, but they need to come out with some sort of news to finally bring this back to at least test this 200 here at about $64, $65. So Snap is definitely in a interesting range. A lot of people are saying it's super cheap, but that's all relative. If Snap isn't performing well financially, then it's not cheap, right? So, but we're definitely keeping an eye out on Snap, and we're looking for this to start to curl up. So we're looking for this to be a very solid support area. Buyers, some buyers are stepping up, more retail action. But until this gets back over 200, you're not going to really see these massive spikes. But the gap closure is ideal, but that should take a while here on Snap. Next, we'll jump to Facebook. Really nice bounce off of Facebook. Facebook's going to be changing their name pretty soon. That's the big news, big talk about their name change, which is Metaverse or Meta, is what Facebook's going to be called. But essentially, Facebook is shifting their focus over to the Metaverse, and that essentially is just augmented slash virtual reality sphere that they've been kind of investing into for quite some time. So one of their first investments was into the Oculus goggles, and they're looking to basically expand some of that technology and work into this virtual world. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. So there's been a lot of attention in that. That's also transitioned to some of the crypto names in terms of this metaverse, and so it's a relatively new space that it's getting a lot of attention. So, but in terms of Facebook's chart here, there's a gap to fill at 338, and we anticipate Facebook to fill that relatively soon. There's a lot of buying happening here, and one thing that happens in general whenever there's a ticker change, there's typically a move up into that ticker change, and then there's some consolidation thereafter. Ticker change is supposed to be at the beginning of December, and so they will be changing from FB to Meta, and the ticker symbol will be posting and talking about as we get closer to that date. But yeah, so that's Facebook here. I think it's now back above the 200, so you have the potential for this to continue to trend up. Don't think it's going to continue to spike at the rate that it's going, so it probably will slow down now that we're back up and over the 200, so it'll start to trend back up. Might be a while until we see the 380s again, right? But as far as a short-term price target to at least close this next gap to 338, that seems pretty